Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you're listening to Skytown and everything Chicago Sky related podcasts. We have a very upsetting but a very humbling show tonight. You know, I expected to come onto this show and represent, you know, the 2022, finals matchup of the Chicago Sky versus the Las Vegas Aces, recrown Chi-Town, recrown Skytown, really, is what the motto has been all year. And it unfortunately didn't go that way for us. We obviously, if you're sitting here and you're following the WNBA and you're following the Chicago Sky, then you know the Chicago Sky lost in Game 5 tonight, do or die in Chicago against the Connecticut Sun. And shout out to Curt Miller, shout out to DeWanna Bonner and the Jones and everybody from top to bottom of Connecticut, man. They fought. They really had the tenacity. They had the grit. They really hung on, even, with some of their most key players, maybe not playing their greatest or some even being injured. One of their best players has a torn ACL since May. Alyssa Thomas stepped up amazingly and really was able to handle that challenge. So before we get into anything, I do want to give them their flowers and say congratulations to the Connecticut Sun. I've spoken with Curt. I've spoken with DeWanna Bonner and a few other individuals on the team throughout the year, and more recently Curt. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for all of them. They are a class act. They are amazing individuals, and I love really just seeing them get that shine. This is their first time making the finals since 2019. It's going to be super exciting to see what they're able to do against Las Vegas on Sunday night. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Or is it? I know one is at 9 p.m. on Tuesday, and one is at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. But whichever that may be, Sunday's matchup against the Las Vegas Aces is definitely going to go down in the record books. But you guys know how much I love A'ja Wilson and Kelsey Plum, so you know who I'm rocking with. You definitely know who I'm rocking with for the finals. But let's get into it. We have a couple post-game interviews tonight. We have one with Candace Parker and one with the Vanderquigs, and kind of just getting their conversations and their thought processes of what it was like to be a part of the Chicago Sky organization, what it was like to play in Chicago, and what the future may hold. We didn't talk about free agency. Everybody in that room, everybody in the media room, from myself to ESPN to the Chicago Tribune, we were very respectful of, what we did ask, and we're not going to hit them with a million questions about what's going to happen this offseason. It's going to be a franchise-altering offseason potentially for the Chicago Sky. It could either continue to build on what we're already building on, or we could potentially lose some of our key stars. I mean, we have Candace Parker, Courtney Vandersloot, Allie Quigley, Azurá Stevens, Emma Miesemann, just to name a few that are going to be free agents. Rebecca Gardner. It's definitely going to be a conversation right now. When you look at this team going into next year, it could be a totally different team. It really could. And, and that's not just, individuals signing in other places. Allie might hang it up, Candace, we're going to get into that interview in a little bit of what she said on that. But there's this team could definitely look a lot different. So I do want to say, first and foremost, obviously the season didn't end the way we wanted it to. But I do want to give them their flowers and say congratulations on one of the best Chicago Sky seasons I have ever seen, as not only a sports fan, but as somebody who's covered them for, the last 2 years. This is without a doubt. I understand they didn't win a championship. And 2021 will always be the year everybody talks about because they won that championship. But the 2022 season, without a doubt, will go down as one of my favorite Chicago Sky seasons of all time, even topping to me the championship year. And that's just that's my personal bias, because I got to work with them and, I built those relationships. But, this team was fun. This team was energetic. This team really just lived it up, all the way from Allie Quigley winning the 3-point competition at the All-Star game to, them just having one of the best records in the WNBA and a franchise-setting record. They broke more records this year than I think they need a record book solely on the 2022 Chicago Sky. That's how many records they broke. So I do think it was a very fun year. It was exciting. It was exhilarating. It was everything we wanted it to be, and we just came up a little bit short in the end. So I do want to say that. But before we get into that, Obviously, everybody knew we had the lead with only a few minutes left in the game, and we end up losing 72-63. Let's get into it. Joanna Bonner, pardon me. I'm all over the place. Jonquel Jones, that was horrible. That was horrible. Jonquel Jones with 15, 2, and 10 in 31 minutes. Dewana Bonner, who to me at this very moment reminds me so much of Kahleah Copper of last year in how her energy and how her presence is just so electrifying. It's transforming this team into a team that can just knock out anybody and compete with just about anybody. Bonner had 15, 5, and 9 in 35, and also had a squabble with Kahleah Copper. So that was awful. That was the turning point, and that was the moment where Connecticut kind of got that rise. And we're not going to sit here and say that we know if that didn't happen, what would have happened. We don't know. I did love seeing James Wade run onto the court, though. He wanted all the smoke. So shout out James on just being like the realest dude and one of the best coaches you could ever ask for. Alyssa Thomas with a double-double. She had 12, 8, and 10 and 35. Williams 12, 5, and 6 and 31. Heidman 14, 4, and 3 and 33 with a couple big daggers from 3. Jones had 2, 0, and 3 and 17. Sims 0, 1, and 0 and 7. And Carrington had 2, 0, and 2 in 11. And obviously we're talking about Brianna Jones for that second to last one, or third to last one. But it's a conversation right now. When you look at the Sky and you look at the way they perform, they only put up 63 points. And that is so uncharacteristic for them, especially, in the second half of this season where they really started to just pick things up and drop 90, drop 100, so on and so forth. Candace Parker had 7, 3, and 9 and 33. Kahleah Copper had 22, 2, and 2 and 33. Ka was dancing at the rim. She was in the paint. She was floating. She was levitating. I loved every single moment of it. So shout out to Ka. Emma Mieseman, Mies did her thing, man. She was playoff Emma for real, and I don't think anybody can hold her to that and say that she underperformed. She was everything we needed and everything we asked of her to be, even throughout a season to where her role kind of fluctuated and her role kind of changed depending on the situation. She showed up every single game of the playoffs this year. So I shout out to Emma Mieseman, man. She's a class act, and she had 14, 2, and 6 and 33. If I didn't say that already, I'm sure I did. Allie Quigley had 3, 7, and 8 and 32. Courtney Vandersloot had 12, 3, and 0 and 33. Sloot was putting the team on her back at times. It was great to see her and that dog in her that just continues to fight and just never quits. Azurá Stevens had 3, 0, and 2 and 14. Rebecca Gardner had 2, 1, and 1 and 15. Julie Alman had 0, 0, and 0 and 7. Aliman, pardon me, not Alman, but and Dana Evans did not play, but and neither did Ruthie Hebert. But it's a conversation right now when you look at the Chicago Sky and you look at what they're doing and you look at the way they went about this. It was without a doubt in a disappointing game. It really was. I feel like even in the middle of a post-game press conference, you're talking to James Wade. In the middle of the third quarter, kind of talking to him about what style of pace are the team's playing right now. And Heath said that they're playing their style and we're playing our style, but really I didn't feel like we were playing our style, or at least what we're used to seeing. And he can definitely speak on that better than I can. I'm just a kid, you know what I mean? Like I'm just a reporter. Like, what am I going to sit here and tell you that I know what the Chicago Sky styles of basketball is when he's the head coach? Like, if he feels like they're playing their style of basketball, then they are. But from what we're used to seeing from them, it did not look that way. And that's one of the biggest things right now for me. Candace Parker was just taken out of the equation completely. She was just not able to continue going, and they played 3 games in 5 days. And that, to me, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to make excuses. It is what it is. Everybody had the same amount of rest. Everybody had the same amount of time to prepare. But I do think moving forward, the WNBA, and this goes far more than just the Chicago Sky. This isn't me just being butthurt about this. This is me being real. I think these women deserve more time of rest. That's when you start to see serious injuries, serious fatigue. And honestly, you're looking at the NFL that gets 2 weeks to prepare for a Super Bowl. You're looking at the NBA who plays every 3 days, or sometimes every 4 days. That's the conversation right now. You're looking at it like they're playing 3 games in 5 days, and they're traveling from Chicago to Connecticut. It's mind-boggling to me, but it's a conversation that the league is still continuing to grow. They're still continuing to do their thing. And I had a blast. And I do want to say this before we get into the interviews, before we get into anything. And I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. I do want to say thank you to Carly. Thank you to the PR crew. Thank you to the Chicago Sky for bringing me in this year. Thank you to the WNBA. Thank you to Jay Ness and the All Sports All Plays Network for taking a chance on a kid, and that's a title I earned this year. A guy at ESPN, he called me the kid during a post-game press conference, and it's just stuck ever since. And I'm rocking with it. I'm rolling with it, and I love every minute of it. I love just being, there and being present, being able to feed off so many others. Stephen Garner, thank you for everything you've done for me. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in to Skytown, everybody who supported me along the way. Just a kid from Chi-Town, and you really don't get these opportunities every day, and I really tried to make this something special for you guys. I really tried to make this something to where it feels like a community, it feels like a home. Obviously, if you're a friend of mine or from the ASAP network, or from Mike on the Mic podcast, or hey, maybe you're even just here because you just found me, or you're a Chicago Sky fan first and foremost, and you just stumbled upon it. But having your guys' support over the year, it has been insane. And obviously we covered them last year on a podcast, but we didn't have the platform or the media credentials to be a part of the media team like we did this year. And it was an absolute blast. And hopefully they'll have us back next year, and we'll be able to figure something out with them, and we can get back in there. It's going to be a blast. And, it's one of those things where, and I'm not trying to make this all about me, I'm really not, but it was just such an honor and such a privilege to not only interview people like Candace Parker, Allie Quigley, Courtney Vandersloot, that you grow up, being inspired by, but to befriend some of them as well. It's an unreal feeling, and I want to give everybody their flowers and everybody their shout out. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for supporting me throughout this season. Thank you guys for just being here. But before we get into anything else, we do need to hear the post-game press conferences from Candace Parker. If you can hear that, I apologize. But from Candace Parker here, kind of talking about her future in Chicago and what it's meant playing for the Sky.
It's meant a lot, just in terms of being able to play basketball in front of the people that, in terms of the people that first started seeing me play basketball. I think that it's meant a great deal to me, just being able to, be around the people that, I wanted to come here and play for and play with. And, Chicago always holds a special place in my heart, being a Chicagoan is special, being from here is special. And I think, we've seen the way that the city supports and has supported us.
Yeah, it's given me more than I ever could have imagined. I always wanted to make the league, but the second I got in it, it was like, I don't know if I can make this league. I had never imagined it ending up like this, or having the career I had, and especially being able to do it in Chicago with my family, meet my wife. It was unbelievable. I couldn't ask for anything better. It's like a dream come true.
And I think, when you look at that, and obviously those questions we asked were all about their return and what playing in Chicago has meant for them. If you're just coming into this, we're kind of discussing, what the potential of this offseason is going to mean. Candace Parker is a free agent. Allie Quigley, Courtney Vandersloot, who are married, have a lot of decisions to make. Do they want to continue playing overseas, or do they want to retire? They're over the age of 35 at this point. So I believe Sloot's a little younger, but they're in their 30s. And, I think Sloot still has some game left in her. But Allie is getting to that point where a decision is going to be made. And that's no disrespect to Allie, but she's accomplished everything she needs to accomplish. And obviously her body's taking a toll to that. And if she wants to call it quits, and nobody's going to sit here and hold that against her and say, oh, well, she could have did this, and this. She accomplished everything. And in her final year to win the 3-point competition is just outstanding to me. Allie is, the backbone of Chicago basketball when it comes to the Chicago Sky. And so is Courtney Vandersloot, and Candace Parker. She is just she's the backbone of women's basketball. Like, that's Sue Bird, Lisa Leslie. You're talking about, DT and Candace Parker, individuals like that. That's women's basketball. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, and you look at, what this team might look like next year, I think there's a lot of unknowns, and I think we really don't know what it's going to be But it's going to be exciting nonetheless. James Wade is signed through 2025. So, we obviously know he's an amazing executive. He's an amazing head coach, and he's an amazing individual, and he builds that culture. I'm not trying to, trying to butter him up in any way, shape, or form. James is going to be James at the end of the day. And I think that's the consistency that you don't get with a lot of coaches. No matter what, at the end of the day, James Wade is not only going to hold you accountable, but he's going to hold himself accountable. And I think that's where you can build a great culture with or without superstars, with or without, the backbone of the WNBA, with or without Candace Parker, Allie Quigley, Courtney Vandersloot. Obviously, it's going to hurt without them being here, but in Wade we trust. We'll make it through, and maybe it's not ever going to be what it once was, but it definitely can lead back to championship caliber basketball. And I think that's one of those things right now that the Sky are really going to look forward to. I'm not trying to sit here. I'm not trying to be, bummed out or sound depressed, but this is the part of the season I wasn't looking forward to, is the end. And I think, it would have been so much easier if we could have not only said we made the finals, but to have won another championship and go back to back. Obviously, that's what everybody wants to do. But it's to be a game shy of that, losing in game 5 at home. It's frustrating. And I saw a lot of people kind of talk about Candace, who just walked off the court. She didn't even shake up with anybody. She didn't get in the team huddle. She just left. And, to kind of speak on that, I'm not sure if she did. I got a little late to the media room, but, it was crazy trying to get in there. So to me, my personal opinion, not speaking for Candace, but, for myself in that moment, the frustration that goes into that, what she's given for not only to this team, but to the league in her body and her mental and everything else that goes into that, it's huge. It's frustrating. So I can't speak for her, but I could definitely tell you from my personal experiences throughout playing not professional sports, but playing sports, I would have walked off too. If I'm in my mid 30s and I don't know, how many years I have left, and, you have one of the greatest rosters you've ever played a part of, and you were a game short, and you didn't perform that great in that game either. It's definitely something. There was a lot that went into that. So it's definitely something right now to where, yeah, don't read too deep into that. It's not, it's Candace leaving Chicago. It's Candace this, it's Candace that. No, it's pure frustration. It was pure human emotion. And you're a liar if you say that you would have reacted any other way, or in a completely different way, or if that was totally unprofessional. Unless you're in her shoes, you can't walk in them. So it's something right now to where, I don't hold that into anything. You know what I mean? So, it's something right now that, we're hopefully going to be sitting down with Candace very soon and having another interview with her, just a one-on-one. We can get more questions in, get some fan questions in, kind of talk about the future of Chicago. Also individuals like Emma and Allie and Sloot. We're going to try to get everybody in here. And Rebecca, I do want to say this first and foremost, Rebecca Gardner, congratulations on an amazing season. And I hope this means, no matter what happens, if she stays with the Sky or not, this woman deserves her bag. 32 years old, if I'm not mistaken, as a rookie, playing overseas for as long as she did, coming out of UCLA. She did her thing. And my first day working at Sky Media, my first person I ever got to interview was Rebecca Gardner for the 2022 season. And I was a rookie. She was a rookie. And she made it so easy for me. She made it so easy for me. And I've been supporting her throughout the entire season and vice versa. And she's just a class act. She does exactly what, this team expects her to do. And whether she stays here or she doesn't, it's a conversation right now to where anybody would be lucky to have her. So I do want to give my flowers to Bex. Thank you for everything. And really, just before we get out of here, thank you guys. Truly. It means everything to me. We're going to be, obviously, we're doing this right now. If you have been listening to Skytown throughout the season, you've been on Mike on the Mic YouTube, going to click playlists, and then you can see every single Skytown episode. Or you've been watching it on the All Sports All Plays Network. But we're going to be dropping every single episode in a podcast form called Skytown for you guys very soon. I'm super excited about that. We probably should have been doing that all season. But I wanted to see how it all went first. I wanted to put my all into this channel and what we built and what we're doing. So if you haven't already, if you want to see, the episodes throughout the year, go on Mike on the Mic YouTube. It's literally my logo. You can see my ugly face all over the place. And when you click playlists, you can see every single Skytown episode of this year. And that's the only place you can find them right now, other than the All Sports All Plays Network, which you can find on all social media platforms. And without them, this wouldn't even be possible. Partnering with ASAP, partnering with the WNBA was something that I came up with over the winter, that I was thriving for WNBA shows on our network. And not only did we get to do that, but we got to be so much bigger than I anticipated. And honestly, it was one of the craziest feelings. So, you know, again, shout out to Jay Ness, shout out to Ray Cruz, shout out to everybody who supported me. Megan Price, if you're in here, I love you. Alana Trapp, if you're in here, thank you for everything. I love you as well. You know, everybody who supported me up and down, Stephen Gardner, the list goes on. But with that being said, you know, this is Mike Hughes and you're listening to Skytown, and we will be back as soon as the WNBA playoffs wrap up. We'll see what happens between the Connecticut Sun and Kelsey Plum and the Las Vegas Aces. It's going to be super exciting. And honestly, I'm rooting for the Aces just because, one, I got issues with Connecticut right now, and two, Kelsey Plum's been one of my favorite players since I was like a teenager. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening again. Thank you for all the support. This is Mike Hughes, and you're listening to Skytown. Until next time, peace.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making a plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.